people often think intelligence looks loud, fast talkers, big words, bold opinions. But some of the sharpest minds in the world move quietly. They listen more than they speak. They question what others accept in their habits. Sometimes a little strange, a sharp mind is curious. It wanders. It gets uncomfortable with easy answers. It finds patterns where others see chaos. Highly intelligent people often talk to themselves, not because they're lost, but because they're thinking deeply. They ask why when everyone else asks what. They enjoy being alone, not because they dislike people, but because solitude fuels clarity. They change their minds when new truth arrives. They doubt themselves just enough to keep learning. They notice details others miss and feel deeply about the world around them. A sharp mind isn't perfect. It's open. It's brave enough to be different and wise enough to stay hungry. So if you've ever felt out of place, maybe you're not strange. Maybe you're just sharp. True intelligence is often misunderstood because the world celebrates no's. We are taught to believe that the smartest person in the room is the one who speaks the most, argues the hardest, and dominates every conversation. But a truly sharp mind does not rush to prove itself. It observes first. It listens carefully. It understands that silence is not emptiness, but space for thought. Intelligent people know that every word carries weight, so they choose them with intention rather than impulse. A quiet mind is not passive. It is active beneath the surface. While others compete to be heard, a sharp thinker is connecting ideas, reading emotions, and processing information at a deeper level. They understand that knowledge grows when you are willing to pause, absorb, and reflect. Loud opinions may win attention, but thoughtful insight earns respect. Intelligence does not need an audience. It needs clarity. People with unusually sharp minds are often comfortable letting others speak. They know that listening reveals more than talking ever could. Every conversation becomes a classroom. Every person becomes a source of insight. This habit allows them to see patterns others miss and understand perspectives others ignore. They're not silent because they lack confidence. They are silent because they trust their understanding. There is also strength in restraint. A sharp mind does not react emotionally to every challenge or disagreement. It waits. It evaluates, responds with purpose rather than ego. This calm presence can be mistaken for indifference, but it is actually discipline. It takes intelligence to know when to speak and wisdom to know when not to. In a world obsessed with performance, quiet intelligence can feel invisible. But invisibility is not insignificance. Many of history's greatest thinkers were not the loudest voices in their time. They were the most thoughtful. They allowed ideas to mature before releasing them into the world. They understood that impact does not come from volume, but from depth. If you have ever been told you are too quiet, too reserved, or too reflective, understand this. Silence does not mean weakness. Thoughtfulness does not mean hesitation. It may mean your mind is working at a level that does not need constant noise. True intelligence is recognized that slowly, steadily, and powerfully. Curiosity is the quiet force that keeps a sharp mind alive. It is not loud or showy, but it is constant. A curious person does not accept the world as it appears on the surface. They feel an inner pull to look deeper, to understand how things work, and to ask questions that others ignore. This habit often begins early, but it never truly ends. A sharp mind stays curious long after formal education is finished, because learning is not seen as a phase, but as a way of life. Highly intelligent people are rarely satisfied with simple answers. When told something is true, they want to know why it is true. When faced with a rule, they wonder how it was created. This is not rebellion, it is awareness. Curiosity pushes the mind to explore possibilities, challenge assumptions, and discover connections that are not immediately visible. It turns everyday moments into opportunities for growth. Curious minds are also comfortable admitting what they do not know. They do not pretend to have all the answers because their confidence is rooted in learning, not ego. Asking questions does not make them feel small. It makes them feel alive. Every new piece of information is a door, and curiosity is the courage to open it. This habit also fuels creativity and problem solving. A curious mind approaches challenges differently. Instead of feeling stuck, it asks new questions. Instead of repeating old methods, it experiments. This openness allows intelligent people to adapt quickly in a changing world. They see obstacles not as walls, but as puzzles waiting to be solved. Curiosity also deepens empathy. When you genuinely want to understand others, you listen more carefully and judge less quickly. A sharp mind does not rush to conclusions about people or situations. It seeks context. It seeks meaning. This leads to stronger relationships and wiser decisions. In a world that rewards certainty, curiosity can be mistaken for indecision. But in truth, it is a sign of mental strength. It takes intelligence to remain open, to stay interested, and to keep asking questions even when answers are uncomfortable. Curiosity keeps the mind flexible, humble, and forever growing. If you find yourself constantly wondering, exploring, and learning, understand this. That restless desire to know more is not a distraction. It is evidence of a truly sharp mind. Comfort with solitude is one of the most misunderstood signs of a sharp mind. Many people fear being alone because silence forces them to face their thoughts. But intelligent individuals often seek solitude not as an escape from the world, but as a return to themselves. In quiet moments, the mind is free to wander, reflect, and organize ideas without interruption. Solitude becomes a space where clarity is born. A sharp mind understands that constant noise can blur thinking. Endless conversations, notifications, and opinions can drown out inner wisdom. Time alone allows intelligent people to slow down and hear their own thoughts clearly. This is where insights surface, problems untangle, and creativity flows. Solitude is not loneliness when it is chosen, it is nourishment. People who are comfortable being alone do not depend on external validation to feel whole. They are not afraid of their own company because they trust their inner world. This independence of mind allows them to think freely. Without being shaped by the expectations or pressures of others, they can examine their beliefs honestly and adjust them when necessary. This self-reflection is a powerful mental skill. Solitude also strengthens emotional intelligence. Time alone provides space to process feelings rather than suppress them. A sharp mind does not avoid emotions. It observes them, understands them, and learns from them. This leads to better self-control and deeper understanding of others. When you are comfortable with yourself, you relate to the world from a place of balance, not need. Many great ideas are born in solitude. When the mind is not performing for an audience, it becomes more original. Intelligent people often use alone time to read, think, plan, and imagine. These quiet habits build depth and vision that cannot be rushed. What looks like isolation to others is often intense inner work. In a culture that equates business with importance, choosing solitude can seem strange. But stepping away from the crowd is sometimes the clearest way to see the path ahead. Comfort with solitude does not mean rejection of others. It means knowing when to step back in order to move forward with purpose. If you value time alone, if you think best in quiet moments, and if solitude gives you energy instead of draining it, understand this. Your mind is not empty in silence. It is active, focused, and refining itself. That comfort with being alone is not a weakness. It is a sign of a truly sharp mind. Questioning beliefs is one of the clearest signs of a sharp and disciplined mind. Many people inherit opinions. Traditions is that, and assumptions without ever examining them, that they accept what they are taught because it feels safe and familiar. But intelligent individuals feel an inner responsibility to understand why they believe what they believe. They know that unexamined ideas can quietly control decisions, behavior, and direction in life. A sharp mind does not question to argue or to feel superior, questions to understand. It recognizes that beliefs are powerful tools, and powerful tools must be handled with care. By examining ideas, intelligent people protect themselves from blind thinking and emotional manipulation. They are willing to sit with discomfort if it leads to truth. This courage to question separates awareness from habit. Questioning beliefs also requires humility. It means admitting that you could be wrong, even about ideas you have held for years. This is not weakness. It is mental strength. A sharp mind values truth over pride. It understands that growth often begins with uncertainty. Changing a belief in the light of new information is not failure. It is progress. People with strong intellects are often open to multiple perspectives at once. They can hold two opposing ideas without immediately choosing sides. They listen carefully, compare evidence, and think critically before forming conclusions. This ability allows them to navigate complex situations with wisdom rather than reaction. They do not rush to label or judge. They seek context and meaning. This habit also leads to independent thinking. When you question beliefs, you stop living on autopilot. You make choices based on understanding rather than fear or tradition. A sharp mind asks whether a belief still serves its purpose or whether it needs to evolve. This self-awareness leads to intentional living and deeper fulfillment. In societies that reward conformity, questioning beliefs can be misunderstood as rebellion. But true questioning is not about rejecting everything. It is about refining what remains. Intelligent people do not tear down ideas carelessly. They examine them carefully and keep what is valuable. If you find yourself challenging assumptions, rethinking opinions, and updating your views as you learn more, understand this. You are not confused. You are thinking. That willingness to question and refine beliefs is not instability. It is a sign of a mind that is awake, flexible, and exceptional sharp. Self-doubt is often seen as a flaw, but in a sharp mind, it serves a very different purpose. Intelligent people do not assume they are always right. They pause and ask whether they could improve, learn more, or see something they missed. This quiet questioning is not insecurity. It is awareness. A mind that never doubts itself stops growing. A mind questions itself stays alive. A sharp mind uses self-doubt as a mirror, not a weapon. Instead of tearing itself down, it reflects. It asks what worked, what did not, and what could be done better next time. This habit creates constant improvement. While others repeat the same mistakes with confidence, intelligent people adjust their approach with humility. They understand that certainty can be comfortable, but it can also be limiting. Self-doubt also protects against arrogance. When you recognize that you do not know everything, you remain open to new ideas and feedback. A sharp mind listens closely when challenged instead of becoming defensive. It separates identity from opinion. Being wrong does not feel like a personal failure. It feels like a step closer to understanding. This emotional maturity strengthens both thinking and character. Highly intelligent individuals often hold themselves to high standards. They reflect deeply on their actions and decisions. This can sometimes look like a hesitation to the outside world, but internally it is careful thinking. They want their choices to align with their values and their vision. This inner dialogue sharpens judgment and builds long-term success. Self-doubt also fuels empathy. When you question yourself, you become less judgmental of others. You understand that everyone is learning, evolving, and navigating uncertainty. This awareness leads to stronger relationships and wiser leadership. A sharp mind does not dominate conversations with absolute statements. It invites discussion and growth. In a culture that rewards loud confidence, Thoughtful self-doubt can be misunderstood as weakness, but confidence without reflection is fragile. True strength comes from knowing your limits and expanding them deliberately. Intelligent people trust their ability to learn, not their need to be perfect. If you ever find yourself replaying decisions, examining your thoughts, or wondering how you can improve, do not mistake that for failure. That inner questioning is not holding you back. It is pushing you forward. Used wisely, self-doubt becomes a tool for clarity, growth, and wisdom. It is not the enemy of intelligence. It is one of its strongest allies. Being different has always been misunderstood. From an early age, people are taught to fit in, follow patterns, and avoid standing out too much. But a sharp mind naturally moves in its own direction. Intelligent individuals often think, feel, and act in ways that do not align with the majority. This difference is not intentional rebellion. It is the result of independent thought. A sharp mind notices things others overlook. It questions routines that are followed without thought and sees possibilities where others see limits. This naturally creates separation from the crowd. Being different can feel uncomfortable, especially in environments that reward conformity. But intelligent people learn that approval is not as valuable as authenticity. They are willing to stand alone if it means staying true to their understanding. Difference also fuels innovation. Every major idea that changed the world began as a thought that did not fit the norm. Sharp minds are not afraid to explore unfamiliar paths. They are willing to risk misunderstanding in order to discover something new. This courage allows progress to happen. Without difference, growth stalls. Being different also strengthens inner confidence. When you stop measuring yourself against others, you begin to trust your own judgment. A sharp mind builds identity from values and insight, not from comparison. This creates resilience. Criticism becomes information, not a threat. Rejection becomes redirection, not defeat. Many intelligent people spend time feeling out of place before realizing that their difference is their strength. What once felt like isolation becomes purpose. What once felt like a flaw becomes a gift. Difference allows depth. It allows vision. It allows impact. In a world that rewards sameness, choosing your own path takes courage. But intelligence has never been about blending in. It has been about seeing clearly and acting honestly. If you have ever felt misunderstood, unconventional, or ahead of your time, understand this. Your difference is not something to hide or fix. It is evidence of a mind that sees beyond the surface. It is not a barrier to success. It is often the very reason success becomes possible. In the end, a sharp mind is not defined by how loudly it speaks or how perfectly it fits into the world. It is revealed through habits that often go unnoticed, through quiet curiosity, thoughtful solitude, honest self-reflection, and the courage to question what others accept without thought. These traits may seem strange in a world that rewards noise and certainty, but they are the very qualities that lead to wisdom, creativity, and growth. If you recognize yourself in these habits, do not try to change them to feel more acceptable. Honor them, nurture them. They are signs of a mind that is awake, aware, and constantly evolving. Intelligence is not about having all the answers. It is about staying open enough to keep learning, brave enough to stay different, and humble enough to grow. When you trust the quiet strength of your mind, you stop trying to prove your intelligence and start living it.